acknowledgement to my partner, Mark Clayton, who is not only my life partner, but my business partner. And he is integral in all the things that I put together for BARDS. So thank you to Mark for your support and your participation. And now I'm on my, I'm doing a dual recording. So I'm going to do a welcome to our YouTube channel and our YouTube audience. So hi, I'm Kat Lindquist, Badass Red Dress Society. And today is our monthly guided discussion. We're in month 3, and we are talking about the laws of the universe. So to get us started, when we think about the universe, a lot of people might tend to go towards religion or a spirituality, which, you know, that truly is up to you of how you want to move forward in your concepts and thoughts. But when I think about the universe, I think about energy. And I see that the universe is made up of energy and how energy connects us with everything, whether it's a physical connection, an emotional connection, a spiritual connection, a mental connection. It all has to do with energy. And so, so I wanted to find out from our group here is, when you think about the universe, what do you think about? What comes to mind for you?
I think of the infinite.
Infinite, I like that.
No limits.
No limits. Cool. What else?
I think of universe as source or the collective consciousness. On one hand, and that's my spiritual belief, but also I think of the universe as just the vastness of millions of different solar systems and, you know, various galaxies, and like the universe to me is infinite.
Nice. Excellent. All right, what else?
It makes me think of how small even like the entirety of humanity is in comparison to the size of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, how large we are in comparison to a cell and how complex everything fits together. You know, Neil deGrasse Tyson shit.
And when you think about it, like the atom looks like a small universe in itself, or a solar system, and then you have all of the atoms together and you've got a little universe.
Kind of like that very last that last scene in Men Are Black,
Yes.
when the whole universe is in that that ball.
The little marble.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that really is, when we think about the universe, there are small parts and there are big parts, but yet we are all a part of that universe, whether, you know, it's a tiny atom or it's a giant planet. But ultimately, we are all made up of the parts of the universe. So in the research that I've been doing around the laws of the universe, I found that there are 12 specific laws of the universe. And I will be posting these, a link to these in the description. So if you're looking online, we'll get that information to you once I get these posted. But there are 12 main laws of the universe. The first one is the law of divine oneness. And that is that everything is connected to everything else. And that's kind of a little bit of what we've been talking about. Some people call it the butterfly effect, that is, you know, a butterfly in the Amazon, if something happens to the butterfly, it impacts the rest of the world and the universe. And we actually know that that happens, that one small detail can make an impact. The second one is the law of vibration. Everything in the universe is in motion and creates circles, including our thoughts, our feelings, our words, and our actions. That everything has a unique vibrational frequency. We'll talk a little bit about that later.
It's just like throwing a stone into the lake and how it comes out as
Right,
real.
and then there's the ripple effect. There's the law of action. That need to engage in action creates and manifests the things we desire. So without taking action, there's not going to be creation. The law of correspondence. These are the principles of physics in the physical world, such as light, energy, vibration, and motion, and that each has a corresponding principle. The concept is what goes up must come down. The law of cause and effect, that nothing happens by fate or by chance, that everything happens because of an action, and it has a direct reaction that follows. The next is the law of compensation, that cause and effect applies to our abundance and our what we might call blessings in the form of gifts, money, friendship, love, and compassion given to us by ourselves and by others. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy, we're going to go into detail on this one later in the discussion, is that we have the power to change the conditions of our lives by choosing a higher vibration rather than a lower vibration. And that we can apply the laws and change our lives to increase our abundance, our liberation, and our freedom. There's the law of relativity, realizing that others may have greater fortunes or less fortune than you do, and that where you are along the journey is relative only when you apply judgment to someone else's journey. The law of polarity, that everything is on a continuum and that everything has a direct opposite. So we can move from one vibration to another by focusing on what we want rather than push against what we don't want. The law of rhythm, the rhythms of life that include our seasons, our cycles, and our stages of how we grow and develop. The law of gender, it's how our creations are managed by bringing together masculine and feminine energies. And this law is manifested through sex in the animal kingdom, and that both are required for life to exist. And the last one is the law of attraction. And we're going to, again, go into detail for the law of attraction. But whatever you think, feel, or say and do is reflected back to you by the universe through the experiences you have, the people with whom you encounter and interact with, and the events which happen around us, to us, and with us. So I know that's kind of a lot to take in all at once, but we're going to focus just on two of these specific laws today, and that is the law of perpetual transmutation of energy and the law of attraction. Does anyone want to share thoughts about about any of this?
Not yet.
Okay.
I've never seen them all laid out like this. It's super interesting.
It really was interesting when I did the research for this, and I found the description of all these different laws. And I follow different people online who talk about different laws, and what I find is that after reading these and looking at aspects of my life, looking at different teachings that I've been listening to, how much of this is intertwined in my daily life and in my daily experience. And that now I have something that I can discern when something happens. Oh, that's connected to this law, or that's connected to that law, or that's showing me in the experience that I'm having how this is the cause and effect of something playing out, or the relativity that I'm feeling of, I look at somebody who has something that I want, but I'm feeling like, oh, I don't have that yet. So, but I have to remember that where I am is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and where they are is exactly where they are supposed to be. And if I continue to judge myself based on where someone else is, then I'm not going to be feeling that I'm where I should be. So there's so many different things that I've actually started becoming more aware of around my own existence and my own experience after doing this research. And going back, awareness was our first discussion. So kind of applying awareness, and then we'll talk about intention, which was our second discussion. So to give kind of an example, I've chosen gravity. So when we think about the law of gravity, we don't generally think about it. We just accept it. You know, we accept that our feet are on the ground. We accept that when we jump up, we're going to come down. We accept these things, and for human beings, we accepted this as just something that was for millennia. And it took one person in the 1600s, Sir Isaac Newton, to start asking the question, why? Why does this happen? What is causing our feet to stay on the ground? What is causing these objects when we throw them up to come back down? And so through his questioning, through his awareness that there's something else out there, there's something that is there's a cause and an effect of something happening here about why our feet are on the ground and why objects come down. So he started doing his mathematical calculations. He started expanding his mind and his thinking to try to figure it out. And he created a mathematical theory around gravity, and we have then taken that as well as others that came along later after him that had other types of theories around gravity. And in the 1960s, we were able to harness the actual power of gravity to leave Earth as human beings. And had we not discovered and created these theories and these ideas and asked the questions why, we would not have expanded into where we are today. And so as we look at what's happening in your life, is to start asking those questions of why. Why is this happening? What is happening to me? Being more aware of things that are happening. And when you think about the laws of the universe, how are these playing out? We know that gravity impacts every single person and every single object exactly the same way. It doesn't say, oh, well, I'm going to treat you differently because you're who you are, and so gravity's going to play a game and say, well, I'm going to make this person feel heavier. I'm going to make this person float up in the air. No, it impacts us all the same, and the universal laws are exactly the same. They impact everybody the same way, but the question is, are you aware of it? And how do you apply it? So the first part of understanding universal laws is helping to build our foundation. And so this is the third piece of our foundational building. The first one was awareness, as I said. The second was intention. And now understanding the laws of the universe helps us to build the foundation of creating our badass red dress life. And it's with this understanding that we can apply our spiritual energy into taking action to create that life that we so desire. But a lot of us go through life in what we call default mode. So we go along with what comes along. We follow the rules that someone else says that we're supposed to follow, or we're not aware of things that are happening around us. And so when we respond in a way that really doesn't end up serving us in the best way possible. And so when I started creating the change that I wanted to see in my life, I had to start focusing upon the laws of the universe in a different way and understanding where my energy was going and applying that awareness and that intention into what I wanted to create. So I want to talk today about the two different laws. The first one was the law of attraction. And so this I see as one of the most important laws that we can truly understand. That the law of attraction is that mirror of the universe showing us where we are, and to understand that nothing in this world is asserted upon us. that we truly put out the energy, and then the universe reflects back to us what we put out. So if we're putting out energy of excitement and joy and happiness and love, then those like energies are going to come to us in the form of the people that we want to have in our lives, or the jobs that we want, or the experiences we desire to have. And on the flip side, if we put out that we're tired and we're upset and we're angry and we're judgmental and there's all these negative things that we put out, then those are the types of things that are going to come into our experience. The people that come in are going to behave in similar ways. They're going to have similar energies that are matched. We like to think that opposites attract, but they really don't. They really don't. It's truly the like-minded that comes together. And so I see that the law of attraction is one of my biggest guides in where am I, what's happening in my life. And when I start really looking at the things that are around me, the people that are coming into my life, the experiences that are happening, this is my barometer to say, maybe I need to shift my energy, or yeah, I'm on track. I know what I'm doing, and I'm feeling good, and I'm attracting the positive things that I want in my life. And not that we can be 100% positive every moment of every day, because we're human and we have our emotions, but understanding that in those moments when we're upset or we're angry or we're frustrated, to be aware that that's going to start attracting things into your experience. And so just to again, have that awareness. So have you ever felt that when something is going wrong in your life, that all of a sudden everything seems to fall apart? You ever had that feeling? I know I've had that feeling, and throughout my experience, I went down a path where one thing started going wrong, and then because I didn't understand this and I didn't know, I just accepted that was normal, and that feeling bad was normal, and feeling frustrated was normal. And so the more that I normalized those feelings, the more the flood started filling up and the water's rising, and then you start feeling like you're drowning. Because now all of a sudden you've got all these different things happening in your life, things you don't want, people that aren't helping you, people that are causing chaos in your life or negativity in your life. And now you feel like how do you get out of this? How do you get out of this mess? But it's all what you've attracted. So it starts with one, and the more attention you give that one, then the next one comes, and the next one comes, and it will keep snowballing. And yet, we have the power through our transmutation of energy to make that choice. But again, it comes through awareness. It comes through that awareness of, oh, yes, crap is happening. What do I need to do? How can I make that shift? So even in the midst of things going wrong, things are still going to go wrong for a while, but it's what you shift here and what you shift here. And that will take you out of those situations and move those people along out of your experience. I'll share a little story. I had a good friend of mine that I had gone to high school with. We weren't real close in high school, but we ended up connecting probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And we had this really great, strong connection, and just, like the sisterhood, and it just felt so, yes, this is somebody that I connect with, that I feel I've got this energy with. And yet slowly, over time, the things that were happening in her life were a train wreck. I mean, literally a train wreck. And it got to the point where she ended up in a really bad situation. And I'm trying to support her and help her and give her that positive, things will get better, things will get better. But where she was energetically, it just kept snowballing. But I kept going right along with it. I kept feeding into it. I kept coming back and being the friend and oh, let me console you. Oh, let me cry with you. Oh, let me feel bad for you. And then I started feeling bad, and then things weren't going well in my life. And we ended up in a situation where we had worked on a project together. And at the very end, when the project came to fruition, she really didn't step up to the plate. And I ended up kind of picking up everything and running with it and supporting everything and taking care of all the financials and everything. And then at the end, there was a little bit of money left, and she wanted half of it. And I said, no, I'll give you a quarter of it. I'll share something, because yes, you did make effort, you did participate up to this point, but really when it came down to, we needed to get this done and I needed your support, you weren't there. And it was at that point she, what I call, self-selected out of my life. And we haven't spoken since. And it just truly showed me that the power of the universe was, I held my ground. I did what was right for me, and therefore the universe said, you don't need to be together anymore. And right about the same time, I had another friend who, it was a little bit different situation, but again, a very negative person who just had a lot of drama and a lot of things going on in their life, and they also self-selected out of my life. And after about 3 days of realizing, wow, I'm not friends with these people anymore, it was such a relief. I felt so good, and I didn't realize how bad I felt having their energy in my life. And so sometimes we get to that place where we accept feeling bad, and it's this low-lying negative energy that we just don't even pay attention to anymore. And yet it impacts everything that happens to you, around you, and with you. And
so do you think that this one lady, the first one, even though you were giving all of this energy to her and doing everything you could to help her come out of it, was it because she didn't accept that and change her life, or is it because that these negative people, we can't, if you give them too much energy, you also go under? Which do you think is the situation?
I see it's more the second. It's that I cannot change anyone else. So even if I'm giving all of my positive energy to that person, it's up to them. Now what can happen is as I'm standing firm in who I am, and I'm standing in what I'll call my authentic self, which is what we talk about in BARDS. I'm standing in my authentic self, and I'm loving myself, and things are all good here. If I look at someone else and I give that person my attention, two things can happen. Number one, as long as I don't move into their energy, they have the opportunity to move into mine. But I have to keep my energy solid, or else I'm going to just plummet, and I'm going to go down to their level, and then I've lost my grounding. But they have the opportunity to join me at my level, or they will end up self-selecting and moving on because they can't come up to my energy level, and therefore they become uncomfortable, and the energies, it's like when you put two magnets together that are that opposite, and they repel each other, and you just can't get them to stick because they're not going to stick. The energies don't connect.
I have a thought on that. What I keep running into is that people, you want to help because we all want to help, and we're here to serve, and then some people will just end up continuously taking from your bucket. So you realize after a certain amount of time that it's just manifesting as a constant taking. Well, when you have a friend who needs something, you give it to them, and then they take care of themselves and show gratitude for that. So for me, it's a lot of looking for intention, which of course was last week, last month.
Yeah.
I recently had a situation too where I had a friend, a longtime friend, that just started crossing so many boundaries with me, and I was very firm in what my needs were, and I was totally ignored and ridiculed for asking what I wanted. And so I had to like really step back, and at that point, and it caused total chaos in my life for the past year. And so I realized that my friendship and my energy that I'm giving is such a gift. And you have to really, I have to select who I give that to.
That's right.
And if somebody's to the point where they're not worthy of my gift, I'm going to pull it back.
That is very true. That is very true. And again, that comes back to awareness and intention. Is we go down that life of default, we connect with somebody on some level, but then all of a sudden you find the energies aren't matched. But now you've become friends. So in the scope of what friendship means to the outside world, you keep going down that path, and yet it is not serving you. But then you become so ingrained in it, whether it's a friendship, a relationship, a family relationship, a business relationship, you get so deep into it, then all of a sudden you feel like, now I've created this thing that I have to kind of sever ties with or destroy in order to get out of it. And when we start seeing those signs at the beginning, we can make that choice of, do I really want to go down that road with that person?
Yeah.
Do I really want to give that person that much of myself? And what is that going to cost me? And a lot of people would say, well, that sounds really selfish. But that's what we're here to teach. We're here to teach you to be selfish. We're here to teach you to create your authentic self first, because you are a gift. You are a beautiful gift. And not everyone is going to be able to receive that gift.
I've had this experience like you did too, where I put everything into someone else, and in the end I was depressed. And so I know that's you're really right. And it's a shame. It shouldn't work that way,
but in a way, it's okay, because you've learned from that experience now. You've had those experiences that tell you what you don't want. So now you know better what you do want. And that's actually kind of the next piece that I wanted to come up with, so that's actually a great segue, is that through the law of attraction, we are going to have experiences because our energies fluctuate. And when something comes along and we have an experience that then shows us, wow, that didn't go well at all. That's not what I want. It's a clarifying moment for you to say, well, if A is what I don't want, then what do I want? Do I want B, C, D, E? Do I want Z? Do I want cork? What do I want? Those experiences are necessary for us to then clarify and hone in on what you want. So they're not bad experiences. They're not even experiences that we should turn away from. And that was a big lesson for me personally. There was a period where I got to a point where it's like, I don't want any negativity in my life. I just want no drama, no negativity. If somebody's not meshing with me, I just ignore them. I just don't even want to go there. But what I realized was I need to embrace that let's take my car accident a year ago. So I was rear-ended a year ago, and I could have gotten really upset and angry and all of this. But I had to stop and think, okay, what energy was I at in the moment? What have I been building up to? Okay, so I attracted this into my life. Why did I attract this into my life? So now I've attracted this into my life. How is that going to help me move forward? And how can I then grow and learn from this experience into finding what it is I really want? And what I found was that I was in a job that I was really unhappy with, that I didn't want to be in, this took me out of that job because I could no longer physically do it. And it moved me into a direction that I'm now creating the life that I want. And so even though I went through physical pain and had to do, physical therapy and all this kind of stuff, and I'm still in recovery from it, I'm now moving forward in a way that I felt stuck in before the accident. So it does. I mean, those are things that we attract, but they help us learn. Let's see. All right, so actually we kind of did this a little bit. I was going to do an exercise that says, think back to a relationship you had in the past which you no longer have. And in thinking about that relationship, what prompted the beginning of the relationship, and then what happened and why did it end? So I don't know if you want to do that exercise. We talked a little bit about that.
We can.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the relationship could be any kind, whether a friend, a family member, a lover, a business relationship, but just kind of hone in on one and think about where you were energetically when you met that person. So were you on a high vibration? Were things going really well for you? Were you kind of in a place of uncertainty? Maybe you met them when you were in a transitional period, or maybe you were just, it's like the end of another relationship and it was a rebound or something like that. So kind of think about energetically where you were when you met that person. So I'll give you just
I've got an example.
Okay.
So this is someone that was a friend of mine from like elementary school all the way through college and even further out. And so, I mean, we had known each other really all of our lives. And we were, on both of us, in positive energy levels. But my friend was a manipulator and a taker, constantly needing this and that and wanting this and that, but never giving back. And about 15 years ago, I just severed the tie. Said, I don't want anything else to do with you ever again.
Wow.
And then this friend responded by, well, your secrets are safe with me. That was the response. And there are no secrets.
Right.
But just that's the kind of person this is, a manipulator. It's like stab you with a knife, any chance possible. And it took me a long time to realize that even though I thought we were best friends for life, that they're not always like that.
Yeah. So if you met as children, when we meet someone in our childhood, we're obviously at a very, very different place in our life.
Right.
And so you may have had some common interests or some common situations that were happening to you at that point in time. And again, we build those relationships and then we tend to hold on to them even throughout time. But yet, I'll bet, when did you first really realize that this person was more manipulative?
I think I recognized it for a long time, but I kept thinking, oh, it'll get better, But I was not right.
Yeah.
It didn't get better.
So was it maybe like in high school?
Probably, maybe college. I think it was
So by
by
that
college
point.
I had realized this is really not that great.
Right.
And but we met because we both wanted to be scientists.
Okay. So there
And-
was your common
And
connection.
And so we had that, and we could do math and stuff together, and
Right.
so there were good things, but the overall effect was not good.
Right. So as time went on, your energies shifted, and you went off in this direction, and they were over here in this direction, but yet you continued to keep the relationship and to try to make it work, as you even said. And I've been in this, in my marriage. I'm sure many of us have been in this situation where you hope it's going to get better, that you think the person can change, that you want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're not really this kind of a person, but there's everything inside your being that is telling you, yes, they are.
They really are that person.
And how are you going to continue in that relationship? Are you going to continue to let them bring their energy to you, or do you move your energy out somewhere else? Which eventually you did, you know, but that was a long time to be friends with somebody that didn't feel good. So, yeah, interesting. Who else wants to share?
I have an example. So I met this woman in my old community who was a life coach, and at that time I wanted to be a coach. That was like the first of my like awareness. That's what I want to do. And so we started working together so I could learn more about the profession. And you know, we developed a little bit of a relationship, and you know, living in a small town, we kind of cross paths and stuff. And then I went through a super bad breakup, and so at that time she was having a weekly in-person group, so I joined that group and used that life coaching group as kind of my crutch to work on my relationship. I mean, you know, get through my breakup. And
Right.
ongoing, it was a very on-off ongoing relationship for a long time. And so her and I became really good friends.
Okay.
And so, you know, she was my coach, my life coach, and I was paying her. We were friends. I ended up moving to California. We still continued both those relationships of me being a friend. Like I would stay with her when I went there, or when I still had my house, we would hang out. But also I was in a paid coaching situation with her for years. And and then about 4 years into that, she actually got a job working for my ex-boyfriend. And then 3 months after that, she's going to marry him.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And they're not, believe me. So all that time, like, you know, I always gave her the benefit of the doubt of her. She was very kooky and quirky and kind of had some kind of mental issues, and was not very well liked in the community. But I always like maintained my friendship with her, and people would always be like, "Why are you friends with her?" And you know, part of it was that she was my coach, and so we had that like intimate relationship where she knew all my details. Like I shared a lot with her, which also was a frighteningly sick betrayal.
Yes.
But yeah, and she honestly thought that I should be happy for her and that I should accept them as a couple. And because I couldn't, and I tried to explain to him how gross this was, because he did not know the extent of our relationship. He was manipulated.
Interesting. Okay.
Then she made him cut himself off from me. So I haven't spoken to him since either. Even though he was like, you know, somebody that I relied on in my life for support. So yeah. So I haven't spoken to either one since. And it's really wrecked me for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
But I should listen to the signs along the way that she was not a stable person. My other friends did not like her. She did, you know, I always, because she was in that kind of authoritative role to me as being my life coach, that I always took that. I always ignored the signs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've actually been in situations like both of yours. One that happened to me pretty recently is somebody who came into my life maybe 6 months ago, maybe 9 months ago, who had a history of just struggling. Like she's dealing with some mental health issues, but she's dealing with them, and I could see that in her. And she had an expectation of having more of a relationship with me, and I basically had to say no to that, just to be true to myself. And she chose to be with another partner who I could see was bad for her. She picked somebody who needs work, and she needs work to work on herself first, and it's not good to get in a romantic relationship with somebody that you feel the need to fix. And she doesn't see it that way. And it's difficult for me because I used to be in a relationship where I thought that way. In fact, it was with somebody with similar mental health problems, the person she's chosen to be with. And I've had this situation where I've had to offer up love and support, but I can't go give love and support. So I've established that boundary because I've been burned by this so many times where someone goes, you don't understand, I have depression, I have anxiety, I have this. And I go, I get it. That sucks. I have also dealt with some of those issues, and I am here if you need me. And finding peace and acceptance with, but it's on you to reach out to me. Because if I keep pushing towards you, I'm going to empty the bucket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's, I want to
Yeah.
give love and support. I can see for a fact that what's happening there is bad. I can see that I can fix it if she would just listen to me. And having to let go of that thought of I need to fix her because she's in the same place that I need to fix him. And that I need to fix other person mentality is very, very bad. And making decisions of not putting my energy into those kind of relationships have completely shifted the types of relationships I've now invited into my life.
Yeah.
And I hope one day she wants to talk about it, or when that relationship ends and is all bad, that she'll be around me, or maybe it'll go all bad and I'll never hear from her again. Who knows?
Right.
And that's just something I live with. She didn't hurt me, you know, but she's made this decision. It's hurtful to watch.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a really interesting point where you said, I can be there, but I can't go there.
Yes.
And that is really one of the key pieces around the law of attraction, is that when we go there with someone else, when we cry with them and we feel and take on their pain, whether it's from a breakup or a death or anything that they're experiencing that's negative and they're upset, when we lower our vibration and we go there with them, we are only feeding into the attraction of what's happening in their life, and now we're drawing that into our own life. Whereas if we can stand in our wholeness and in our authenticity, and we can shower them with that support and that love and that uplifting energy, and say, yeah, it sucks being where you are, and I've been there myself, and I'm going to stand here and I'm going to be your champion over here, but I'm not going there with you, then you can do the most benefit to them as well as yourself, because you are holding yourself true, you're holding your energy high, you're going to keep attracting the good things that you want into your life, and you're giving them all of that goodness that you can, and it's then up to them to take it or not. And yes, we cannot fix anybody else. We are not responsible for anyone else, for anyone else's life, for anyone else's situation. And in fact, one of my biggest pieces has been around my marriage and the experience that I had in my marriage and moving out of that. And it is very interesting now. I'm at a place where I share with people the experience that I had, and I get a lot of people who go there. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh, that must have been horrible. Oh, he's an asshole. All these other things. And it's like, you know what? It's all good. It is all good. And I can see now, because I have pulled myself out of being in there, that I don't have to go there myself anymore. That I can take the lessons that I've learned from that experience, and I can also still find joy in the good times that we had. And so when I hear those people come in and say, oh, I'm so sorry. It's all right. You have nothing to be sorry about.
Well, you talked about judgment earlier. Those are judgments that are meant to stick you back into the victim.
Yes.
Instead of saying, no, I've made my peace with it. I've learned my lessons. Those were very bad times. It's very good. I'm out of them. And I don't need to assign emotion to it. Yeah. And then when people do, it makes you that person again. So by rejecting it, it's allowing the healing process to continue.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
A therapist pointed that out to
Oh.
me about a similar
Yay,
situation.
we like our therapists. Those are good. Those are excellent. You know, and again, you know, having someone to be able to reflect back to you to help you see something from a different perspective, and that's really what we do here. You know, we help to share a different perspective so that you can then move forward in the life that you truly want to have. So the law, I'll wrap up the law of attraction, then we're going to move on to the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. The law of attraction shows the reflection of where you are, so it's information. And if, like you said, we don't assign a judgment to it, oh, I'm in this horrible situation. Oh, no. What the law of attraction is telling me that my vibration needs to shift. So whatever's happening over here, I got fired from my job, or I got in a car accident, or whatever. Oh, maybe I need to shift my energy. So it gives us information instead of being something bad. So that's one piece that I see it as. And then also to understand that our vibration does shift, and if someone or something or things around you are happening, it's where's my vibration? Where do it's that reflection that, oh, is this someone I really want in my life? Or did they come in at a time where maybe we were both at a high vibration, but now they're really showing their true colors, and then it's, we met over here in a good place, but now it's not quite where I want it to be. And I'm actually experiencing that with someone right now in my life. Is we met, it was this really great attraction, there was all these positive things that were happening, and then the true colors start to show of this other person and where their energy really lies on a regular basis. And it's, I'm not sure that's the energy I really want to connect to. Mm-hmm. And so I've had to pull back and become unemotional around that energy and the things that are happening in that person's life, and just be that positive, oh, well, you know what, things are going to get better, and I'll connect with you when you're in a better place. And what I find so interesting is the universe has actually created roadblocks for us to come back together. That schedules haven't worked, something else came up, we were supposed to get together, something came up, couldn't get together. So it's showing me that my energy's here, their energy's here, maybe we're not on the same wavelength. So I'm willing to let it play out and see where it is, but I'm not willing to go there. Mm-hmm. Not willing to go there with that person.
Before we move on,
sure.
I was thinking about the word empathy, and that empathy puts us in that other location. We get on their level through it. And so I used to think that was something good, but I sometimes think now that maybe that's not a good thing to be doing.
Right.
Because it does drag you over there where they are.
I disagree with that.
Do
I think
you?
it's
Tell
a
me.
matter of what you do with that energy. Like me talking about my friend, is that I have so much empathy for that because I have felt those feelings. I've been in that situation, and it rips me up seeing someone else go through it. Mm-hmm. But because I can acknowledge that in myself, because I have that emotional capacity and that understanding, is why I know I can't go there. Because it will continue to rip me up emotionally. And to instead say, I am here. If you come to me, if you need a shoulder to cry on, you come to me. That lets me protect my emotional state and at the same time have empathy for her situation. If she needs me in the future, I can return to that emotional state instead of saying, I want to shut down my emotions because I don't want to feel this because it hurts. Instead of saying, it hurts and that hurt is a good thing because she's in a bad situation. But at the same time, I'm going to choose not to continue having that pain. But it's a matter of living with emotions that we've been told are bad, and instead saying, I'm going to choose not to make it bad and just let this emotion be what it is. Because there's a time for being exhausted. There's a time for being angry. And it's a matter of how do you how do you process that? Do you take it to every person you meet, or do you process it yourself, or do you drink a beer and try and get rid of it? You know, it's all about how you handle emotions. Because I inherently think all emotions are trying to teach you something, or there's a lesson in all of it. So I say that connecting to your emotions is typically a good thing.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, I like that. Because it allows you to be true and authentic for who you are and what you're feeling, but you're also, like you said, being protective, and you're creating that boundary of saying, I'm making an intentional choice to not go to the pain again, because I've already been there.
Yeah.
But I can see that you're in that, and I want to recognize that and honor that of where you are, and I can be here, and I can still walk with you through that, but it doesn't mean that I have to jump back into the pain that I had in that moment or through that experience.
And I'd rather have that come cry on my shoulder because that relationship is over and you want a stable person, as opposed to let me go to where you are because you want to cry it through so that you can continue the cycle with this bad relationship. Because I had people do that in my life. So in being connected, because a lot of people like to just cut off their feelings, is then it cuts off their relationship and doesn't allow any healing to happen between you and them.
Very cool. Thank you. Anything else we want to talk about the law of attraction? All right, moving on to the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. So this law I see is about making the choice for energy, which is the segue that we just had, that it really does come down to our choice and to our intentional decisions about what we think, what we feel, what we say, and what we do. And over the past few years, I've learned in my life that a lot of my life was created through default. So it was not intentional. I really just created a life that I went along with, and that's how I ended up in the marriage that I ended up in. And again, as the law of attraction, it started with one thing. The signs were all there at the very beginning, and I ignored them. And then they kept growing and growing and growing, and then it got down to that place where I knew I needed to get out. I knew that it was painful and it hurt so much, but I didn't know how at that point to release myself from that. And so it took a process of 10 years and 3 attempts, and it finally I got out. Took a lot of therapy, a lot of counseling. It really took owning myself and loving myself enough to say, I can't keep going. I can't keep going down that road. But then the separation and the change becomes that much more difficult and that much more messy. On all levels. So it really does serve us to key in when we start seeing those signs in the beginning, when we get those gut reactions. We've talked about that in the very beginning. I think in awareness we talked about gut reactions and how those are the things telling us there's a red flag, there's a yellow warning, there's something for you to pay attention to. And we are taught to ignore ourselves as women. In particular, we are taught to ignore ourselves because the world at large knows more than we do. Our relationships know more than we do. Our parents know more than we do. Anybody else knows more than we do, but we don't. We know ourselves. We know what's right for us. But we live in a society that really still, in this day and age, doesn't value the power of women. And so through those society expectations, we ignore it. So as I began to realize that everything that I think, I feel, I say, and I do is impacting my life, it does make me stop and think, is this really where I want to go? Is this really the thought process? And I've even gotten to the point now where I'm driving in the car and, you know, something happens in traffic, and my reaction still is and say, oh, wait a minute, no, that's not what I want to do. It's cool, you're good, okay, shift, and I rein it back in and shift it. But that's still my gut reaction. My gut reaction is still to, you know, get upset at the guy that cuts you off, or, you know, does the improper lane change or whatever. And so it is a process to make those shifts, but it's the awareness that really, really comes into play. So my thing yesterday, this was really funny. I don't like spiders, and I've gotten much better. But the one place that I really, really, really don't like spiders is in the shower. And so I got in the shower yesterday, and there's this tiny little spider. You know, I mean, he was, you know, not very big, but he was up on the ceiling, like right above me, and I'm thinking, okay, no, I do not want this thing coming down. So of course, you know, the universe doesn't know don't. It only knows energy. So what am I giving my attention to?
Having it come down.
So, what do you think happened? I went to grab the shampoo, and I turn around, and there's a spider in my face, and I literally screamed in the shower. And I went, yeah, okay, I totally manifested this. This was me, and I had to own it. And you know, and I said, I'm sorry, and I, you know, down the drain. But you know, he was in my space. So, but that's just a funny little example that, you know, in that moment, I was thinking, yeah, this is what I don't want. But again, the universe doesn't hear no, they don't hear don't. It only hears what you put your attention to. And so I manifested my little spider friend. And so, but it's also on the flip side is that what if there's something you want, when you're giving your attention to that, then that's something you can manifest. Now there's a whole nother side, which we won't get into today, but it's the I want it, but. So if you're in the I want it, but, that restricts it from coming. So, but that's another discussion we'll get into another time. But to get back to the transmutation of energy, it really does come down to choice. It comes down to, you know, I thought about that, and then I had to recognize I did that and take responsibility for it. So, you know, your life, what you want, what you create is totally up to you. It's not about fate. It's not about chance. It's not about the universe asserting something onto you or into your life. The universe doesn't come and say, oh, this thing over here, we're just going to slide that in and plug that into your life. No, it's what comes from here first. And it's all about the energy. So even though you may not be thinking about a car accident, like in my example, I wasn't thinking about not getting into a car accident, but my energy was at a place where I needed change. And I was not making the change that I needed in my own life with this job that I was unhappy with. So I had negative energy around the job. I was feeling stuck. So I attracted this car accident because I wanted change and I was feeling negative. So it was a quote unquote energetic match to where I was in that moment to say, oh, well, here's an opportunity to get you to change. And we're going to give you some pain along the way because that's where you are. You're feeling emotional pain. Well, you know, physical pain is kind of an energetic match to that. So I have to be able to look at that and say, you know, even though I wasn't thinking about the car accident specifically, it was an energetic match to where I was in another area of my life. And so sometimes the things that come into our life may not be a direct correlation with something we're thinking about, but it will match energetically. every time. Every time. So it's about us taking personal responsibility for our lives. And the last piece that I want to talk about today, it's not specifically a universal law, but it plays into the universal law, and that's the concept of momentum. So what happens with momentum is when we are in that vibration, when we're thinking about things, it can take as little as 17 seconds for that thought or idea to get hold and start the momentum moving forward. And so that's why when I was thinking about if there's something like when I'm driving, and I think that negative thought about the driver, I know I have 17 seconds to shift that. And so if I'm, if I catch it in that early stage and I can shift out of that and turn on the radio and start bebopping to the music and forget about that, then I'm good. But once about 17 seconds of a thought or a feeling or something going on, then it hooks in and it starts giving more. And then every 17 seconds, it's like it's like a power boost. And so it just gets more and more and more and more. And so if you think 17 seconds is not that long, but it's long enough for you to actually be aware. We know our gut feelings and our gut reactions happen pretty instantaneously when something isn't feeling right for us. And so it's, let me listen to that. What is that telling me? What do I need to shift? How can I move away from this? And then the other funny thing about this is if something's happening in your life or a situation, we have to be able to shift our thoughts away from it. Because if we say, well, I'm not going to think about that spider. I'm not going to think about the spider being up there. What am I doing?
You're thinking about
I'm still thinking about the spider being up there, even though I'm saying I'm not thinking about the spider being up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I manifested the spider coming because I allowed more than 17 seconds to come along and thinking about that spider that was up there and thinking, I don't want that spider coming down. And then after it truly was, it was almost, right around 30 seconds that I saw it. I opened the shower, I saw it up there, and I'm thinking, I hate it when spiders are up there. If they're in the corner, they're not so bad, but it's like right above me. And so I started thinking and thinking and thinking, and then it's like, I don't want the spider coming down, and I wasn't listening to my own words, and I turn around and there it is. And so it can really be something as quick as that. Or if it's something that's more just in your experience, it will start to snowball and start to become more and more and more, kind of like I look at my marriage. It's like I knew in the beginning stages he really was not the right person for me. It was not the right match. But I kept going and going and going, and then built up years, 25 years of energy and momentum. That's hard to break out of. That's really hard to break out of.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it, and anybody can do it too. So that concept of momentum. So I want to do a little. I want to do a little experiment, and I want us collectively to think about joy. What is joy? When you think about the word joy, what comes to mind?
Carefree, happy.
Carefree and happy. I like that.
This really cute girl in high school.
Ooh, there we go. Cute girls in high school. When we were in high school.
Yeah. Not now.
Let me clarify
Not
that.
now.
Joy. What is joy? When you think of joy, what does it feel like? What does joy feel like? It can be a description, like
It's satisfaction.
satisfaction.
Mm-hmm. That you.
I find joy in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
I find joy in nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's a feeling of of relaxation, of peacefulness, of excitement.
Or accomplishment.
Accomplishment. So think about whatever that means to you. And we're going to take 17 seconds and we're going to collectively focus on joy and see what happens within us. So somebody, you have a watch.
Yeah.
So will you let us know?
Yeah.
Okay. When to start and when to...
Oh, so let's just start now? Okay, start now.
Okay, go.
Okay.
All right, so 17 seconds, we're thinking about joy, feeling joy, breathing in joy. Let joy flow over you.
And that's 17 seconds.
And that was 17 seconds. That's not that long.
No, it's not.
Not at all.
But did you feel something? Did something feel different in that 17 seconds?
Just when we first started talking about it, something felt different.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's do another. Let's do another 17 seconds and see where we can keep bringing this. So let's do. I think I had 50. I think 3 is 51 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't mind,
Okay.
at each 17-second mark, just say the word joy,
Okay.
if that works.
All right.
All right,
Start now.
So go. So we're thinking about joy. We're letting joy come into our experience, whatever joy means to you. Let it fill up your body, your mind, your spirit.
Joy.
So now we have 17 seconds of joy. We're moving into the second 17 seconds. Let it keep building up in you. Let it keep flowing in. Breathe it in.
Enjoy.
And in our last 17 seconds, feel that joy, feel it coming in.
And that's
And
it.
there we go. So in 3 sessions, did you feel something different each time that joy came around?
Mm-hmm.
Did it build? What I felt was it moved from my head down my body into my legs, and I could feel it tingling down into my legs. And I find that when I connect with my authentic self, that's the feeling I get. I get this tingling in my body, this physical, visceral feeling that I am connected with my spirit self, my energetic self, my authentic self. So just in 51 seconds, not even a minute, you were able to expand how joy felt for you.
It's true.
So think about when we do the opposite, when we think about something sad or something angry or something frustrating.
In
How
less than a minute,
quickly,
it's built up 3 times.
In less than a minute, it has built up, and it is on its way to going more and more and more. And it will start bringing in a phone call, an email, a text. Something will come into your experience. You know, you'll drop your pen, you'll bend down, and you'll bang your head on the way back up. It's something. It could be something as minor as that, but it snowballs.
So holding grudges for several years is probably a bad idea.
It is, and I've done that. I've done that, and it did not serve me. It did not serve me well. So that really is one of the key pieces around utilizing the laws of the universe, is understanding that concept of momentum, and that in as little as 51 seconds, in less than a minute, that you will get a direction of whatever it is you're thinking going, and it will take off from there. And so being very aware, being very intentional, listening to your body signals, listening to yourself question, wow, that was an interesting response from that person. Maybe let me think about that for a minute, because that didn't feel so good. So maybe I want to rethink how I want to go down the road with that person, or, it just, even those little signs, sometimes it's a one-off comment, but it's enough for you to start thinking, maybe there's something underneath that person. And maybe the energy that we connected on right here, that's all well and good, but if I start to move it deeper, that's not the energy I want to go towards. So, any final ideas, concepts, questions, stories you want to share, kind of around universe or connection or energy? Or...
I want to talk about that joy exercise.
Okay,
Can I just share about that?
Yeah, sure.
So when we first, you just said feel about it, and I've put myself in my place where I feel the happiest, and then I realized it wasn't so much that place, it's the interactions I've had with other people in that seat that I've sat in, that when I'm sitting there I'm just like I'm so happy, and I'm usually have my kid across from me or my friends, and I've had lots of experiences in that little table setting. But then also so not only did I realize it was the relationships, but also I was thinking about the past, and as we shifted through that minute, I started thinking about the future. And in that environment, because I'm working and setting all these laws in place so I can be back there, I'm thinking about the future and the joy that I'm going to have, not only sitting at that table, but also my experiences that I'm going to have there. So it was a shift from thinking about, where I was joy in the past, but also how the joy can happen in the future, or will happen in the future, because I'm making it happen.
Beautiful. Excellent. Yeah. Anyone else want to share about the experience or anything else?
Well, I could. So, my very first thought in the first 15 or 17 seconds was educational accomplishments, as part of my work stuff. And then after that, I thought about my relationships that I've had, and that the good things that came from those.
Nice.
And then by the third time, sort of like you, I wasn't really tingling, but I felt like my body was just glowing because I was moving in the right direction.
Nice.
And
Cool.
they're just happy to be myself.
Nice. Beautiful. Well, we're happy you're yourself too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm thinking about some things that have happened in the past 2 weeks. I've had a lot of people reveal their true nature to me, and being flaky, selfish, quick to anger. I'm obviously making a lot of judgment calls.
I'm not one of those, am
No, not this week.
I? Okay.
And as I would talk to people about it and my frustration, how a lot of people wanted to quickly jump to judgment or want to talk through every detail of what went wrong. And I hit this point where I was like, no, I don't even want to talk about it. It just wasn't a good day, and I need my space. Where I would just tell people that instead of giving details. And the thing that I learned through this situation is who the people are in my life who I can talk to about my frustrations, that aren't going to judge it and assign emotion to it, that will instead just be like, yeah, that is frustrating, because that's all I want to express in that moment is I'm frustrated, I want to talk about it, get it out, but that's it. I don't need to talk about what a bitch that person is. I don't need to start doing that. And because of it, it's been a really rough couple of weeks, but from the outside it doesn't look like it, and it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. No, it's interesting how sometimes we really just want someone to hear us. We don't want someone to fix it. And so many times we get into that mode again. We talked earlier that there's people we want to fix, or people want to fix us, and sometimes it's not about that. It's just about expressing that we're feeling something, and we want an acknowledgement that this is where I am, and it's okay to be where I am. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel elation and joy and passion. It's okay to feel all those different things, and sometimes we just want a little bit of that support and validation for where we are in the moment. And so,
Well, a lot of times, just like being able to verbalize how you feel creates a big shift. So like when I do my coaching side of my business, like just holding that space for somebody to talk something through, or if I can talk something through without those judgments of reactions of what your emotions are, it helps just being able to because it creates shifts just saying the words.
Exactly. And in the end, it was a gift to realize that I had a couple people in my life that I could really go to when I was frustrated and not in my highest self state of mind, and just be like, this happened, I'm pissed off, and that's it. And just let it be.
There you go. Yeah.
And on top of it, be able to start the language of forgiveness and processing that. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Thank you for sharing. So when we become intentional about our lives and we make the specific decisions around our thoughts, our feelings, our words, and our actions, we can harness the power of the laws of the universe, and we can create the authentic self and the authentic life that we deeply desire. So thank you so much for being here. This concludes our discussion on the laws of the universe. We are building a foundation, and so our foundational pieces again are the awareness, the intention, and the laws of the universe. There's a fourth component, which I'm not doing in this particular series, which also talks about our attachments. And so in the fall, I'm going to be putting together a course, a study course that utilizes a book called The 5 Levels of Attachment. And we're going to be going through the book and talk about how attachment also plays a component in our development, and it is one of our foundational pieces in understanding how to let go of attachments, whether it's an attachment to a belief system, attachment to people or things, but that really understanding how to shift our concept of attachment is one of our biggest pieces of our four foundationals periods. So that will be coming up in the fall, so I'm really excited about that. In July, we're going to be starting our self-development section, and we're going to be having our discussion on my authentic self in July. So who are you, and how do you connect with your authentic self? So that guided discussion will open the door to exploring who you are and learning how to love yourself and really embrace all of who you are, because so many times we only embrace certain parts of ourselves because we're taught, again, that there's parts of us that are not okay. And so we want to be able to embrace all the aspects of us, because all of us is okay, and all of us is good, and all of us is valuable. So we're going to start that in July. And then also, if you're just joining us, you can catch up on our guided discussions on our YouTube channel. We have our awareness and our intentions. This one will also be going up on our YouTube channel. And also to know that BARDS, Badass Red Dress Society, is a place where women connect with their authentic self. We create community and a life in which we thrive. And so in the descriptions, once I get this posted, there'll be links to the laws of the universe, to our YouTube channel, and to our BARDS website. So we hope you'll join us again, and we will see you again soon. Take care.